Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm David Holliday, the Vice President of the National Student Exchange. I'm also the NSE Coordinator at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. Today's session focuses on NSE and career development. And I actually had this idea. My campus, we have a new president and provost as about the last 18 months. They just have unveiled a brand new strategic plan for our university, and so many of the key points relate to career development. And I think that's a trend across higher education across the US as well. So as career outcomes, skills-based hiring, and return of the college investment and leading to a job become really top priorities, both for students and institutions alike. The question isn't just where students study, it's what they gain from the experience. So this goes beyond just the traditional college experience. It's about going beyond the college experience. NSE offers so much more than just a semester away or academic year away. Um, and while some students actively pursue internships and or networking in a new job market, actually in a recent survey that NSE conducted with our spring 26 students, over 50% of the students indicated that career development or career aspirations was either some or a large part of their exchange experience. But beyond those kind of real tangible career development experiences, I think all NSE students actually benefit from the experience in very tangible ways. NSE offers this structured opportunity for students to build the exact competencies employers are looking for: adaptability, communication, critical thinking, intercultural awareness. And so today we're going to be exploring how to help students recognize, articulate, and leverage those gains on their resumes, in interviews, and beyond. So I'm not an expert in this area at all. I do actually work closely with our career services folks. They're a big fan of NSE on my campus and promote NSE to their students. But we actually have two career experts within the NSE family. Both Amy Shimko and Mindy May are NSE coordinators that manage the NSE program out of essentially the career services office on their campus. So I'm going to be leaning heavily on them today, or they're going to be doing all the presenting actually, to share their expertise and knowledge and experience in this arena. So Amy, can I have you introduce yourself first?
Absolutely. So I'm located at Frostburg State University, which is up in the mountains in Maryland, and I am the director of our Career and Professional Development Center here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amy. And how long have you been an NSE coordinator?
Oh gosh, I think just under maybe 10 years. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, they're about 10, 12 maybe.
I think I
Yeah.
remember you dressed up as Mr. Potato Head sometime.
That was actually my first conference, Rhode Island.
2016.
Rhode
Uh-huh.
Island, there we go, 10 years,
So
exactly.
10.
Wonderful. And Mindy May.
Hello, everybody. Yes, my name is Mindy May, and I work at the University of Montana in the Experiential Learning and Career Success Center. And that kind of demonstrates we have two sides of our house: experiential learning opportunities, but also we help students develop their skills for the career side. And so National Student Exchange is under experiential learning. And I have been a career coach since October of 24, and then worked with NSC just for about a year. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. And for all of you, if you have questions or comments, please use the chat at this point. We will have plenty of time for Q&A towards the end of the session as well, so use the chat in the meantime. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Amy to begin the conversation.
Sure. So we're going to start off talking about career trends in higher education. I just read a statistic not long ago. David, you were saying about how your institution is kind of adopting this career readiness because of the goals and initiatives of your president and provost. But I think Mindy is going to talk about NACE, which is kind of our leading national organization. A recent survey they did said that 83% of universities across the United States indicate that that is part of their goal structure or their strategic plan is to incorporate career readiness. So most of us are probably seeing it in some way. But what we know about employers is that they are increasingly focusing on skills rather than just a student's major or their degree. You've probably heard about that as skills-based hiring. And we know that NSE, this program, can help a student have tangible examples of these skills. So they not only have them, but they can articulate them. So one of the big things is that employers hire stories, right? They hire examples, not just transcripts. And National Student Exchange is a way for students to have stories to tell. It also serves as a high impact practice. Those are kind of buzzwords that we hear now. And that's a learning opportunity that helps students build transferable skills. So we know that students who participate in experiential learning have stronger career outcomes. So they have better results. They can say, I have a job when I walk across the stage at graduation. We also know that employers want new ideas, they want innovation, and they want varying perspectives. So they want to see a new, relevant student's perspective, but they also want to have cultural competence infused into that as well. We also know there's a gap between how students believe that they are ready for careers and how employers evaluate that as well. And National Student Exchange, as you all know, can help a student start to figure out where do they excel, what are they good at, who are they. We also know that employers want adaptability. So it is a rapidly changing workplace with technology, with AI, hybrid work environments. Employers want employees who can continuously learn, who can navigate challenges. Students often see NSE as an opportunity to just go somewhere new, right? To have a different view, to have a little bit of different experiences. But we know that employers are looking for evidence of their adaptability, of their resilience, of their ability to communicate with other people, their independence, their personal self-management. And so one of the things we're hoping to do today is to help you have a different lens for how you're helping your students connect those dots so that they can share that with an employer. Mindy, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Amy. And I'll just go a little bit deeper into what NACE is, because that's who has developed the career readiness competencies. And as Amy mentioned, it's a national organization that is connected with the college career centers and employers. And so they're trying to create this connection to share ideas and create best practices, opportunities to improve the college to career transition. And so they take these, they wanted to do some research and find out what is it that employers are seeking, what skills, what, as they've labeled it, competencies. And through the research, they have found these 8 different competencies to help students prepare for the workforce. And so their mission is basically to help students successfully transition from education to meaningful careers. And so on the next slide, I'll kind of showcase these 8 career readiness competencies and how NSE answers and checks all the boxes for these. So on the left-hand side is the career competency, and then on the right-hand side is what the participants learn. And so maybe me doing a lot of reading, but I want you to be thinking about your own students, your own experience, and maybe you could add to what you feel like NSE students are learning, and we could add this to the list of the competencies. But so first of all, one of the competencies they feel that employers are seeking is career and self-development. And you look at the NSE student, what are they developing? The independence, self-awareness, ability to adapt, confidence by navigating a new environment and setting personal goals, managing unfamiliar situations. NSE is kind of like, yeah, that's us, right? So the next one is communication. And especially now as we're getting ready for a new semesters and new academic year, students are having to have these conversations of communicating effectively with their peers, with faculty, with advisors and staff, community members on various campuses. But this is what's amazing about this competency is that it's in various different ways, either verbal, written, interpersonal interactions, and basically all three. So good way for NSC to develop that one. The third one is critical thinking. And again, analyzing new situations, solving unexpected challenges. And maybe many of you have experiences you could share from your own students that they've come back and like, here was my unexpected challenge. Well, you can say you developed some critical thinking, making informed decisions and adapting to different academic and social systems. And not all campuses are the same. Some are very large and some use different learning management systems. And so students have to navigate the ins and outs of all of that. And so those critical thinking skills definitely are being developed. And the next one is equity and inclusion. Gain an appreciation for diverse perspectives. And we see that in the pictures that we see on our website, different cultures, identities, and communities, while building intercultural competence and cultural humility. And again, many experiences you could probably share from that. Next is leadership. And especially if students are getting involved in their campus community, they'll develop those skills, but showing initiative, influencing positive outcomes, serving as role models while engaging in campus and community activities. I currently have a peer mentor that was an exchange student, and they share with students all the time the opportunities they had while they were at their campus. Super helpful to show students the diversity that NSE can offer. Next is professionalism, developing responsibility, accountability, resilience, time management, professional behavior while representing their home institution. And hopefully that is the case for everyone, that it's good representation. The next one is teamwork, collaborating with students from different backgrounds, contribute to group projects, and work effectively in diverse teams. And then finally, technology, utilizing new learning platforms, communication tools, research resources, and technology systems at a host institution. And so these were the 8 competencies that were created by NACE. Here on our campus, we've added 2 more competencies that we develop our career readiness around. One is called community and global engagement, which could also work with that equity inclusion, but then also creativity and innovation. So you look at all these core competencies and how they could be incorporated into your campus. Next slide, please, David. So now the trick is taking those experiences and putting it into resume. And I loved how Amy described that they're hiring stories. Well, now is the time through a resume is sharing your story. So, and that's, I have that sentence, show, don't just tell. They want to know what happened, what impact did you have? And so a resume needs to be clear, it needs to be relevant, and it needs to show your impact because as was mentioned, employers are wanting to see the skills, see the examples. So there's 3 different areas on a resume that you could possibly put the NSE experience, and that's what I just wanted to show here, is that first you could put it under the education section of a resume. A very quick insert of National Student Exchange under your education opportunities, where you went and when you went. And that could be it. But you could also put it under the experience section, under, if you label the header on your resume as relevant experience, this is a place that you could go a little bit deeper and show that experience using bullets and using a method of a pattern to show your impact. And that's one thing that you want to kind of create is with these bullets, I use what's called the who method. What did you do? How did you do it? What was the outcome? But focusing really on the first word, which is an action verb, and being intentional about that action verb. What soft skills did you learn from that experience? And so have students really be thinking about, okay, what did I do on this experience? Like I was involved in this club or I hosted this event. How many people were involved in that event? And putting that into the resume with numbers and percentages and showing, it's called quantification, showing that impact. And that's what those do, is using an intentional action verb and then also putting it in that pattern of the who, what did you do, how did you do it, was the outcome. And then finally in the skills section, so many skills. I mean, this is just a brief sampling of putting what they learned into that skills section of a resume. And then finally, the last one is perhaps their resume is chock full of experiences. You could put it under additional experience with just a one sentence blurb about that experience, what their impact was. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to put those skills into a resume. So next slide. So I just wanted to show you some options. So these are just some examples. So under education, the campus that they went on their exchange to, National Student Exchange, and possibly relevant coursework but the key part of this is making it relevant. So any coursework that they do share, make sure that it's relevant to the job description. So, and the next one, please. Okay, and this is if you wanted to put it under the experience, just showcasing, what campus you were from and what campus did you go to and what dates that you had that experience. Again, these bullets are in that pattern using intentional action verbs that have soft skills, that show the soft skills that the students learned. So that's my recommendation for a resume, and I can answer any questions on that further later. Thank you.
So now we'll kind of move into talking about interviewing. Mindy did a great job of talking about how students are going to list this on their resume. But one of the things that's really overlooked by students is that they are able to explain where they went, but they're not necessarily connecting about why it would matter to an employer. And so we want to be moving them towards talking about what they learned and what they accomplished. So I'm sure you're all familiar with interview questions or standard interview questions, and helping our students understand how they can frame their experiences from NSE to fit the answering of each of these questions or similar questions is really one of the things we want to help them with, again, connecting those dots and making that connection of, yes, I didn't just go to the University of Alaska. While I was there, here's what I had to do. Here's how I adapted. Here's how I navigated that change. Kind of all of those things Mindy was talking about in connection to the career readiness standards. Can we move to the next one, David? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we know our students are having amazing experiences. And we also know sometimes they don't know how to explain them. When they participate in NSE, they have new campuses, they have new professional networks, new experiential learning opportunities, and all of those things can help them enhance their career readiness discussion or talking to employers about that. So again, networking, they have access to the career fairs, they have access to faculty, not just faculty, but the faculty connections out in that career area, whatever that might be. They can join student organizations, and we know they vary from campus to campus. They can have campus employment. That also counts as a high impact practice. So not just the exchange portion, but then what they do when they're on campus as well, participating in research with faculty, or David mentioned, we know they can get internships when they participate in NSE at a host institution. But they also can explore areas that are related to leadership or industries or regional employers. I have a student who just graduated in May that really ended up moving to the location that they did their exchange. And part of what they did is network with employers while they were there so that they could secure a job and find out about where to find an apartment and meet roommates and that kind of thing. So they used it as a platform for them to move to a new location. So we really want to be looking at how can we help them use NSE not just as a way to study somewhere else, but also as a way to start really the trajectory for their professional success as well. And I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but Mindy and David and I were having a conversation earlier about how the NSE really can be a recruitment tool for students who are looking for some of those career advantages. And one of the conversations I have with my students all the time is, what is going to set you apart from all of the other people who are graduating with the same degree you have? They've had the same coursework, they've had the same experiences. What's going to set you apart? And so utilizing NSE as a recruitment tool through the lens of how is this going to prepare you for your career and your future success is kind of a new angle that we can take. Even holding informational interviews at their host campus. So connecting with people who are in a particular job or a career area that they're looking at, and then doing kind of a formal informational interview where they're gathering information and building that network as well. Can we move to the next one? So this is just kind of a graphic here to explain the student experience and how that connects with what the employer is not only looking for, but how they can interpret the experience. So again, on the left-hand side, Mindy mentioned those career readiness areas, and then kind of the interpretation from the employer's view. We know it's not just about where students go. It's more about who they become and those experiences and how we can align that with the competencies that the employers are really valuing. And the next one. So I just wanted to share this with you. If you are in a situation where you are either anticipating having to do this, having to do it already, or just want to be thinking about how you can demonstrate that National Student Exchange contributes to those career readiness goals or strategic plan. This is a pre-post, and I'll drop it in the chat once I'm done talking here in just a second, but it's a pre-post questionnaire that really can focus on those competencies and give you a way to provide some data about how you're using NSE to move towards those career readiness strategic goals as well. So it's just a simple 5-point scale. Obviously, you can adjust it however you want. I'm going to drop the Word document into the chat here in just a second, and I'm going to pass it over so Minnie can tell you about the great stuff going on her campus.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, so there's a couple of programs that we have on our campus. One is called Career Champions, and it's just an opportunity for our faculty and our staff to kind of bridge the gap between what they're learning in the classroom into real world skills, just helping them to be career ready. So when they graduate, they can go, yeah, like Amy was saying, I have a job. I know which direction I'm going. Because I have visited with several students who are graduating, have a degree, and have no clue, but we want to help them through the faculty and other departments on campus to help so that they're ready to go. And so that's what Career Champions is just a program that we have and includes involvement of the campus community as a whole. and it's a growing program. It's just recently has been started in the last couple of years, so it's just a growing program involving more and more, and they become members of Career Champions. And then the second one is called Grizz Career Skills. And this is an asynchronous program that we offer to students so they can take it at any time as long as they're here. So it could, if they're here for 4 to 5 years, they can do this program. But it helps focus on those career competencies individually. They have assignments, they have reading, and so it's not graded. It's just an opportunity to kind of focus on those skills and develop those skills through this program. So, and the results is that they get digital badges or micro credentials that they can include on their resumes or on their LinkedIn profiles. But most importantly, it's just to help them gain confidence in the skills. And so that's kind of what our Grizz Career Skills program is here on our campus.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mindy and Amy. So we have a few just wrap up questions here for the audience, and I'll stop the screen share here in a minute so we can see each other again. But we're curious. Do you have any other thoughts or insights regarding this presentation? Things that you have implemented specifically on your campus? I know, for instance, I partner with my career services office mostly to present to them about NSE, just so when they're talking with students about what experiences matter in college and how to articulate these experiences in the resume and the interview, that the career professionals on my campus are aware of NSE. And then we're also curious what next steps you all may take after this presentation. So I'm going to stop the screen share and open it up to conversation. Looks like there is some chatter in the chat. Wonderful. So yes, um, any additional thoughts or feedback or questions from this presentation? Feel free to unmute and speak, or you could use the chat.
I'll start. Hi. So I have worked with our Career Center before to talk to students after they return, but I'm curious if anybody is doing a little bit what David said and trying to get in front of the students earlier in partnership with the Career Center and how you made that happen, so that you can get the first year, second year students to think about this as not just a fun thing, but an academic experience. And that's sort of open-ended, so anybody can chime in.
Amy, your hand is up.
So I have an answer, but I don't want to jump in front of anybody else. So I can just hang out or go ahead. So I'll just go ahead. How about that? Let me also start with saying I did try to put it in the chat. I couldn't, it won't allow me to do that. So David, I sent it to you. Maybe you can send it out to folks.
Perfect.
It's just a very short questionnaire. But so two things. So I'm on a relatively small campus, so connecting and collaborating, pretty easy for us here. But we call it our Bobcat Bound, but essentially what it is orientation for any of our new students that are coming in. So I attend that in two ways. So I set up a table, and then I also speak at the parents program and talk about some of our main programs, NSE being one of them. It is probably, of the three main programs I talk about, it's the one that we hear about the most, where we get the most questions. And what was the other part you said? That was new students. What was the other part?
Yeah, no, just how to collaborate better with careers. Obviously, you're in the careers center,
Yeah.
but if anybody's got ideas, how to get partnership better with them at the front end, because I've invited them to do reentry stuff before, but I like the idea of getting in front of them and talking to the students about how this is a part of building your career readiness.
So sorry, I'll jump in on that one, Kelly. We actually, as career coaches, have liaison specific across campus. And so I'm wondering, with your department, with where you work, just reaching out to the Career Center and creating that connection and having a specific person that you can work with, and then creating a program or events that you can invite. Like, we do presentations for classes, we do tabling over at their departments just to help. So maybe that might be helpful. I'm not sure.
Any other thoughts or examples from the group? Like I said, my interaction with our career services, and we have different career services offices for different colleges, has mostly been just awareness, making sure they're aware of the opportunity and they have a poster in their office and things like that. Um, Eileen puts in the chat about maybe having career services attend a study abroad or study away fair. I think that'd be interesting. Or having NSE actually at an internship type fair. So in that way, I do have a little bit more concrete examples. I have a really strong partnership with our Center for Academic Planning and Exploration. Now, it doesn't, separate from our Career Center, it's really a center for undecided students, especially. And they provide such great support and resources for students that are trying to figure things out in college, major wise, experience wise, etc. And some of you that visited my campus last October, Kai Takuzaka gave the welcome, and he runs that center. But they also have a fair about campus experience. I think it's called the Campus Experience Fair, and I have a table there. So yes, finding ways to promote NSE in a variety of ways across campus, not just the study abroad or study away fair, but incorporating NSE into all of these different initiatives and programs on campus, I think is really important.
I missed the beginning. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. I missed the beginning because I'm a new speakers here, but this is a great slideshow. Do you guys mind if I help use it? Because I do want to try to connect with our career center and try to work with them more. I still have a lot of departments that still don't know that this program exists.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts because I've been talking about it for 7 years. But so I would love to do this and maybe incorporate it. Like you said, we have a lot of resume blitz events here, and it'd be a good way for them to speak on their experiences.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. Mindy and Amy, are you okay if I share the slides out? I think we're good. Yeah, I'll share it with the listserv, actually, the recording, the copy of the slides, and Amy's resource.
I do. Lisa, you just made me think of a funny story that just happened to me this week. So I'm going to take a minute and share it. I got a call from one of our faculty members in the math department that he sent me an email, said, I'm really starting to think about career readiness. Could we set up a call? I said, yes. We set up the call. It's a good conversation. We get to the end of the conversation. And he says, I'm a little embarrassed to tell you this. He said, but I was trying to figure out how to incorporate career readiness because of our strategic plan. He said, so I went to my friend AI and I typed in, how can I start to infuse career readiness into my curriculum? And he told me that the first thing AI said was, have you connected with your on-campus career center? And that's what prompted him to call me. Was that AI suggested it, which I just thought was really funny. Like, I'm on a small campus. I see him all the time. He had my son in his class, but never occurred to him to reach out about stuff that we're doing. But AI helped.
Yeah, any other examples, things that you're going to take from this presentation and maybe try to take forward on your campus?
I'll just jump in. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah McCormick, and I oversee career services at our small little college in northern New Mexico. So I also happen to be the NSE coordinator here. And so it sort of happens naturally out of my office that I really encourage internship, and that is really something that the student is going to benefit from, and often internships that we don't have here. For example, we're sending a student to Juneau And that's, very different for our students. We're not exposed to any coastline here in landlocked New Mexico. And the student is a biology student. So I said, oh my gosh, marine biology internships. That's not something that we can easily find in rural New Mexico. Jump on it. So anyways, thank you. I really appreciate the perspective, and I see that education abroad and career readiness go hand in hand. So I appreciate also you bringing up the importance of the NACE competencies.
Eileen, thank you, Sarah. Eileen mentions in the comment adding to the manuals potentially a link to a mini document on how to add your experience in resumes, talk about it in interviews. That is a big takeaway for me. I honestly haven't done any of that before, other than just a bullet point saying, "Hey, this is great for your resume," but giving concrete examples of how to incorporate that. Something I'm going to do. Yeah. I know several of you are also in study abroad. Do you have examples of how you're doing that already within study abroad, or is this a new idea for you in that arena as well? There's some parallels, of course.
I can jump in, David, on that one.
Yeah.
I'm the International and Domestic Exchange Coordinator here at the University of Alaska Southeast Campus. So my students are kind of mixed. So I always kind of have to think about both avenues. So I started recently incorporating career services into my orientations, my pre-departure and my arrival, specifically catered to exchange and study away. And I find that to be more helpful than just the general new campus orientation for all students. And we had a really great workshop on how language learning skills and all these things can apply. So not only do students get that information before they leave and on arrival, but then they kind of get it filtered in throughout their exchange here. So we do resume writing workshops, and almost every single one of my 12 students in the spring now have jobs. Actually, two of them are here in Alaska still, but our career center, every single student used it after that initial first touch. So orientation is mainly where I've been focusing on, and then the retention has been pretty great, actually. So this presentation was great to hear from other people as well.
Yeah.
I'll jump in. This is kind of crazy that this happened because I just attended a virtual workshop through Ideas with the Department of Education. And it was on building global STEM leaders, preparing faculty to lead STEM study abroad experiences. And somebody on day one yesterday, they said that upon return from study abroad, they require their students to schedule an appointment with career services and have the students redo their resume and add the study abroad experience into it. So it's something that is now, like, I guess, on trend for study abroad to be working with career services offices to make sure that students are correctly adding it in and then learning about how to talk about their study abroad experiences too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's something I'm going to add to my post-exchange checklist of things for students to do on my campus too.
Yeah, somebody had it like along with post-assessment stuff as it's a task for students to do as a part of also filling out those surveys, but then making sure that they schedule an appointment with career services.
Yeah, yeah.
We just are implementing this thing called the Bulldog Experience. We're the Bulldogs at Mississippi State. And so they're going to have a resume for all of their extracurricular activities. And when they first discussed this, they only discussed study abroad. And I said, well, what about a national student exchange? They're like, oh, I guess we can do it too and promote that. And so to be listed on that, like on your transcript, is going to be like a separate transcript just for that. They have to answer questions. So I do plan on incorporating some of these questions that you gave us today for this, and I think it will help them promote NSE through that experience as well.
Yeah.
So, and we also have career classes, like 1 hour, if you don't know what you want to major in type of classes. So I think I'm going to connect with them to promote NSE with that as well. So thank you. You're giving me good ideas today.
That's a really great idea. I work a lot with our undecided students. I also do academic advising specifically for undecided students or students transitioning between majors. And we find that exchanges or study abroad really help students start to they're figuring out who they are when they're on exchange. And then when they come back, helping them narrow that down to, okay, I had 75 options before, but now I've got 6 that I'm thinking about because my skills connect here. That's a great idea.
I have a question or a thought. Recently, I sat in on a study abroad alumni panel. I was not running it, but one of the students in that panel said that they really wanted to see more use of LinkedIn for study abroad in terms of badges and such, that they felt that was very valuable. So I'm wondering from our career folks here, what your thoughts are on that. Is that something that would be useful for students?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Amy, you can add too. But most definitely, what we're finding is that employers often use LinkedIn to kind of get an idea of the student that they're hiring or the employee that they're looking at. And so having that little certification can mean something. One of the programs that we have on our campus that we're looking to get a certification for is the Wilderness and Civ, which is through NSE. And so if they can put those on LinkedIn, it does show value. So and that's really what you want to show employers is what your value is. So what are your thoughts, Amy?
I think they can't hurt you, right? It's not going to hurt you. I think it really depends on how the student is using LinkedIn, if they're using LinkedIn, and that is such a big spectrum of how they're using it and understanding what to use it for. It is an amazing networking opportunity. I do have some students that there is nothing on their profile but badge, 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 badge. And that alone doesn't tell a very big story. It can support a story, but it's kind of a little bit of a bigger conversation, I think, for students with how to use LinkedIn and what they're doing with it. You know, just like a student that comes into my office and they don't have any experience or skills, but they've joined 13 organizations just as a member. Like that's, it's there's a big context there. For sure, it cannot hurt them. And for students who are also going a little bit further and being able to articulate the skills or being able to, have a conversation about how this fits and how that contributes to how I show up on day one of a job, super, super useful.
Well, we'll have to explore that. I know nothing. I use LinkedIn a little bit, but can an organization such as ourselves create a badge that then students that we issue to students? Is that how that works?
I actually don't know anything about how you create a badge.
Yeah,
I know I have some students that have a gazillion of them, like that you can share pretty much anything that you've done, that it just kind of creates that. I don't know if an organization can create one. That's a good question.
yeah.
So we just know somebody who can create one. Maybe I don't personally, but using my resources to create a badge. And so like with the Grizz career skills, that's one of the incentives is getting that badge. And so I know it can happen. I personally just haven't done it, so I'm not sure the process. So, but I know
I'll
it can be done. Just use your resources.
I'll investigate that. We could offer that at the end of an exchange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Well, any other thoughts or insights, questions? I think one, my parting message is I think NSE has probably always had to, push the boulder uphill a little bit for recognition and for awareness and things like that. Lisa, you mentioned that I've been on my campus for 20 years, and there's still people every day that reach out to me and say, "I never knew about this." Um, so spreading the awareness is really critical for this program, and specifically the awareness that NSE can meet so many different um, needs of our students, but also those strategic goals and plans and things like that we have as offices, individual units, colleges, universities wide, that literally NSE can fulfill and help meet many of those goals that all of our colleagues have across campus. And so NSE, I don't think works very well when it's a little silo, a little you have NSE on your website and NSE in your email signature, but you don't do much beyond that in terms of promoting it, sharing the word about the opportunity, but also building those relationships. So, this is a pretty easy one. Reach out to your career services office on your campus to make sure they know about this opportunity. And you can talk the talk now. I didn't know much about NACE before the presentation today, but I'm going to make sure when I connect with my career services the next time that I mention, oh yeah, I know a little bit about the work that you do and the priorities you have as an office, and here's how NSE actually fits into that as well. So my goal, hopefully in upcoming webinars, is to continue to build these connections between initiatives and programs on campus and really how NSE can tie into them as well. And then it's up to you to, of course, implement that on your campus and take that forward with that relationship building. So I really appreciate you all being here today. We have a webinar coming up late July. It would have been in the task and timeline email this past Monday that came out about summer exchange with NSE. And so you'll see more advertising about that, but please put that on your calendar. I forgot to have the date and time in front of me here, but late July, summer opportunities through NSE. Again, appreciate you all being here today, and watch for the presentation recording, slides, as well as the resources that Amy shared. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.